Gamecube is a 6th generation console I grew up playing as a kid, and in today's video I want to count down my favorite games for the console, as there are so many good exclusives, but I think some of them do not get recognized enough. So hello guys, my name is Hepodix, and without further ado, let's start the video. Hope you enjoy. Starting the list at number 10 spot, we have Mario Party 5 that was released in year 2003 globally. It is the second installation of Mario Party games for the Gamecube, and it's really fun time with friends as it follows the original formula of going around different boards, acquiring coins to buy items and stars, and playing minigames together. You're able to play Mario Party 5 with up to 4 players. That is some good old local multiplayer fun, and quite frankly the different boards and minigames are so enjoyable all things considered, and that's why I chose this entry in particular from the other Gamecube Mario Parties. I still do like Mario Party 4, 6 and 7 as well, but the 5th entry in the series is what I think is the best one amongst them. At number 9 spot, let's talk about a game that's considered as the fighting game of Nintendo, Super Smash Bros. Melee. It was released between the years 2001 to 2002. Melee feels a bit stiff and looks somewhat primitive today when you compare that to the latest entry in the series, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but even to this day Melee has an enormous fanbase and even competitive scene around it, which is saying a lot despite its old age, and the game can be still enjoyable and very deep if you can overcome its execution barrier at the beginning. Smash games are crossover platformer fighting games as they feature a lot of Nintendo characters such as Mario, Link and Pikachu, as well as third-party entries later on, but Melee today caters to a niche audience of old-school gamers because the newer entries have updated the fighting mechanics, added more characters, stages, modes and so on. The game's fans consider Melee as the most freestyle out of all the Smash games, and it attracts new players, even to this day.
Super Smash Bros.
Moving on to the 8th spot, I need to talk about a sports title named Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. It's basically your typical 3D golf game with easy to approach gameplay, characters from the Mario universe and a banger soundtrack composed by Motoi Sakuraba. There is a certain charm to it, as I personally have a lot of great memories associated with this game, and the ability to play with up to 4 players locally makes it in my opinion one of the best golf games of all time, period. If you're looking to get your golf fix on the Gamecube, I definitely cannot recommend this game enough, because Camelot just nailed the usage of the Mario IP mixed with golfing perfectly. For number 7, we have a game that I mentioned in my top 10 underrated games list, as I'm talking about The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures. This Zelda game is a sort of a spin-off title of the 4 Swords series, as the art style follows similar style of the Minish Cap and 4 Swords, which were released for the Game Boy Advance. Gameplay wise, it's your typical 4 Swords adventure on a big screen, as it supports up to 4 players locally, and its main mode, Hyrulean Adventure, is an episodic adventure featuring typical puzzle solving, combat, and the main goal is to defeat Ganon at the end. There are some unlockables such as the minigames in multiplayer mode, which can be some fun time with friends too. However, the main flaw in my opinion is that in order to play this game with your friends, you need a separate Game Boy Advance as well as a link cable for every additional player, which is just a questionable attempt from Nintendo to get people buying extra handhelds and cables, just to play this one game together. Have at least the option to use the Gamecube controller for additional players, because this is just a stupid decision on their end. At number 6 spot, we have a launch title for the Gamecube as we take a look at Luigi's Mansion. I was so happy to see Luigi featured as the main protagonist instead of Mario for the first time, unless you wanna include Mario is Missing, released for the NES and Super NES, but they're so infamous educational pieces of crap I wouldn't really count them. In Luigi's Mansion, the story is that Luigi wins a mansion in a contest he didn't enter, but decides to go check it out because he agreed to meet up with Mario outside the mansion. Turns out that Mario is nowhere to be found and Luigi decides to investigate the mansion on his own. Early on, Luigi finds the Professor Egad who specializes on capturing ghosts, and he provides Luigi the Poltergust 3000, a ghost capturing device. The mansion is a sinister place and full of different ghosts, and the ultimate goal is to rescue Mario while capturing a lot of different ghosts along the way. It's a cult classic for the Gamecube, although criticized for its short length. Luigi's Mansion is a very appealing horror game experience, even to this day. For number 5 spot, I want to talk about a futuristic racing franchise that sadly Nintendo doesn't seem to care much about nowadays, that is F-Zero, and in particular F-Zero GX. In my personal opinion, I think this game is the best amongst the futuristic racing games, even beating IPs like Wipeout. Why? Because the gameplay is so solid, including great tracks, awesome soundtrack, and the game mechanics are very carefully designed. I even had a Let's Play sort of video homaging this amazing game if you wanna check it out, where I explain an in-depth mechanic called snaking, which cranks up the speed and intensity to a whole new level. In F-Zero GX there is a short story mode that follows the journey of Captain Falcon. You can also participate in different cups to unlock more stages and characters, which there are a ton of. You can even build your custom ships to race with as a neat addition. And the cherry on top of the cake for me is that you can play this game locally with 3 of your friends. That adds a social aspect to this game. Nintendo really needs to make an HD remake of this game, but due to F-Zero GX's poor sales, I wouldn't really count on that. But as a personal fan of the franchise, I've got my fingers crossed. Moving on to the number 4 spot, I want to talk about a pair of FPS games made by Retro Studios and Nintendo called Metroid Prime 1 and 2. This is the turning point for the Metroid series, where it leaped from 2D to 3D, and the devs really nailed it, thus they've been praised by critics and fans alike. Metroid Prime is an action-adventure game where Samus, the main protagonist, explores different regions, gains new weapons and items, and proceeds through Talon 4 while investigating Phazon, a new intergalactic threat, and schemes of the space pirates. Samus continues her journey in the sequel, Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, as the gameplay style is very similar to the first Metroid Prime game with added features and new levels. It's also an excellent game and a sequel to the franchise. As an added bonus, it even includes a multiplayer mode. The second entry continues and expands on the same themes as its prequel and focuses heavily on a strife between the Luminoth and the Ing, the 2 races inhabiting planet Ether. For any shooter fans out there, if you like games like Halo on the Xbox and haven't played any Metroid games yet, they have similar gameplay elements, and thus I definitely recommend these games for anyone who is looking for some FPS action on the Gamecube. At number 3 spot, we have another pair of games, as due to their similarities, I just needed to include both of them. This time I'm talking about Pokémon Colosseum and Pokémon XD Gale of Darkness. Pokémon Colosseum is a 3D role-playing game where the protagonist, Wes, moves through various towns and other locations battling enemy trainers and fighting the game's evil teams, Cypher and Team Snagem. Also, all the battles are in double battle format, having 2 Pokémon used at the same time. However, the main difference from other Pokémon games is that Colosseum does not feature any random encounters. Instead, you need to capture shadow Pokémon from different trainers. These Pokémon are artificially manipulated to attack other trainers, and you need to purify them in order to turn them back to normal. It's a weird twist, but I like it as it brings something totally unique to the table, and other games such as Pokémon Go has added shadow Pokémon as a cameo. In Pokémon XD Gale of Darkness, the gameplay style is very similar to Colosseum, as the story is set 5 years after Colosseum's events. The protagonist in XD, Michael, is battling different trainers, collecting shadow Pokémon, as well as tackling on the issues made by the evil company, Cypher, which has suddenly resurfaced and is causing havoc once again. There are some wild Pokémon in XD, but it's only limited to Pokéspots called Rock, Oasis and Cave Pokéspots. Pokémon XD Gale of Darkness is also a good game within the franchise, but was criticized for using same assets and places from Colosseum, thus not receiving as much praise as its predecessor. If you're looking for more challenging Pokémon games in the series, I can highly recommend these two games. For number 2 spot, we have Gamecube's main Mario adventure, Super Mario Sunshine, that was released in 2002 across the world. The story takes place on Isle Delfino, as Mario and his companions Peach and Toadsworth are going for a vacation. Turns out that figure closely resembling Mario has been vandalizing the island, and it's Mario's duty to make things right. The gameplay is very akin to Super Mario 64, but with added elements. The main new addition is Flood, a robotic backpack that Mario can utilize to spray water, hover longer in the air, shoot himself to the skies, or gain enormous amounts of speed, all of which makes Sunshine a unique Mario experience. Instead of collecting stars, Mario collects shine sprites and blue coins that can be turned in for extra shine sprites that serve as the main collectible. There is also a lot of variety in level design, as well as the iconic Delfino Plaza as the hub world that connects the levels together. Even to this day, Super Mario Sunshine is a great platformer collectathon, and it was generally well received when released, and the game was also re-released for the Switch with the Super Mario 3D All-Stars package. That is great news for anyone who wants to play this game on a newer console, instead of buying the original copy and the Gamecube. We finally arrive at the number 1 spot, as we have another Zelda game, The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, on our hands. The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker is an action-adventure game developed by Nintendo, and its combat, puzzle-solving elements and the main gameplay style are very similar to previous entries, but the main difference is that you travel across different islands with Link's boat, the King of Red Lions. In addition to traveling to different islands, you also have ocean combat sequences and treasure hunting, which supplements the iconic sailing mechanics of the Wind Waker. And as the name Wind Waker implies, it's a baton Link uses to do different things, such as change the direction of wind or change from day to nighttime. This game defined the GameCube for me. Sure, it was different from previous Zelda titles, as Wind Waker is more cartoony looking with its cel-shaded graphics, but that didn't bother me at all. I personally loved the cel-shaded Zelda universe, and upon release it got some backlash, but as the time went on, people started to realize that it's not that bad of a game after all. And yeah, it got re-released for the Wii U with its bling bling HD graphics and all, which is great because of the extra exposure it got, but the original doesn't look that outdated either because of the cartoony art style. I also played some Wind Waker HD on the channel years ago, so that's telling how much I like this game. Overall, whether you play the original GameCube version or the HD remake on the Wii U, you cannot go wrong if you're looking for some great adventure experience, and I seriously cannot recommend this game enough. It's just so good that it deserves an applause. Well done, Nintendo. Alright, so that concludes my top 10 GameCube games. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please like this video as it helps me to grow, and subscribe for more great gaming related top 10 videos to come. Your top 10 ideas and any sort of feedback are very welcome at the comment section below. Also, let me know your favorite GameCube games in the comments, because I'm curious to know what your top picks are. That's it for this time. My name is Hepodix, and have a nice day.